So nothing yet for the official Spider-Man No Way Home teaser trailer, but I do have a minor update on it that I will talk about later in this video for fan supporters only. I did reveal in my last video for fan supporters the timeline on when to expect it to come out. I also did reveal on when the first and second trailers that Sony has in mind for releasing. The one thing that everyone wants to know is if, and I gotta say it like this because of the NDA, if Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield are indeed in Spider-Man No Way Home. When will they, and if they'll reveal in any of the upcoming trailers? As I reported in my last video, that Kevin Feige is working with Sony Pictures in collaboration with Marvel Studios on when to release and promote their trailers. However, Sony Pictures is in charge of the marketing and distribution, which is sort of confusing, but I'll explain later on how this works and what was meant by that. Also exactly on what Kevin Feige's job is with the Sony Pictures Spider-Man spin-off films, which also includes the Marvel Studios Spider-Man films. I'll explain one thing though, is that although yes, the Spider-Man characters are property of Sony Pictures, the MCU versions, the character's likeness and characteristics are also not property of Marvel Studios because it's set within the MCU, which is property of Marvel Studios, and no Spidey characters are simply being borrowed, and it explains as to why every character is so drastically different from the original source material by playing mix and match with each character that cannot mimic, or resemble any of the previous Spider-Man film characters owned by Sony Pictures. It's just a lot of legal mumbo-jumbo bullshit. And that is why I don't fully blame Marvel Studios for having to improvise with the stories, titles, characters, and heck, even the Spider-Man titles like Web of Spider-Man, The Spectacular Spider-Man, or Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man are completely off limits. Hence why we're stuck with the lamest home Spider-Man titles, which seriously needs to fucking change. At least do something different with it because it's getting really annoying right about now. And the downside is that Marvel Studios characters, for the exception of the Spider-Man related MCU characters, cannot show up in the Sony Pictures Marvel Universe of character spin-off films. However, any of those characters can show up in any Marvel Studios films, like how Ned Leeds and Spider-Man were in Avengers Infinity War, because their likeness and character traits are technically owned by Marvel Studios. It's not impossible for any Sony Pictures characters to show up in a Marvel Studios Spider-Man film because it's their property, and that includes the Sam Raimi and Mark Webb characters. Although it's a Marvel Studios film, it's still being financed and distributed by Sony Pictures. Now, that is not a confirmation that Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield are indeed in Spider-Man No Way Home. It's just a simple explanation on how that would work and legally be possible without violating any character rights. Now I'm going to explain as to what Kevin Feige's role is on being more hands-on, and not only with the Marvel Studios Spider-Man films, but also the Sony Pictures Universal Marvel characters.
Face it, Tiger, you just hit the jackpot.